that CPC means a lot to me. Will you come and see how I play Desi? If you're in love with retro gaming, come and join the boy. And if you want a Friday foursome, watch him and you could. Novabug.
Hello, Novabug here. I haven't done a retro response in a bloody long time, haven't I? So I did say, to be honest, I did say they were going to be more infrequent until a really good question comes up. And as it so happens, a really good question has come up. A bit behind on this one. I'm only doing it because I saw... I actually missed it, so apologies to Alex here. I missed the original video. I went back and had a gander. But I saw Mark Lactobacillus Prime do one. And then I saw Alan Mainmeister do one, which was a response to your top 10 arcade games which you wish to own. Arcade cabinets, more specifically, which you could own. I'm assuming, because I got through most of Alex's video, because originally Alex Nintendo Arcade made this video about his top arcade cabinets. Of course, he owns many. I don't own any. Partly due to, well, mostly due to space, partly due to, no, actually mostly due to money as well, and the fact that I have MAME downstairs on my PC and on the Xbox. But anyway, that's beside the point. But if I was going to pick 10 arcade games that I would like to own, I mean, just the original boards with the original cabinets, that kind of thing, money no object, space no object. They would all be from my arcade days. They'd all be coming from. It wouldn't be games that I learned to appreciate later on in life. It'd be all games that I really gave a good going over in my teens, and you know, pre-teens and teens. And we've got to go right back to the first arcade game I ever played, and this is the first one I would choose, which would be Kung Fu Master. So yeah, Data East's 1984 Kung Fu Master. Obviously came out as Kung Fu on the NES, and Kung Fu Master on the Commodore and the Amstrad as well. B. Thomas, rescue Sylvia from the 3 levels of the Devil's House, or whatever it is. It's good fun. Side-scrolling beat 'em up. It's one of the first games I ever played. Like I said, the first arcade game I ever played, and I really got pretty neat and tidy at it. In fact, I always look for it when I go to play Blackpool or any arcade and see if it's around and have a go. It's nice to remind myself of the original arcade. We had it in the pub that my dad owned, and I believe he either bought the machine or he leased it, one or the other, I can't remember, but it got lost in a myriad of time somewhere, which is a damn shame. I wish I still had it. And that leads on to my next choice, which is another one of the games, one of the cabs that we had back in the pub as well. And this is a game which not a lot of people mention, and it's quite an oddity. It's called Vastar, or Varstar, and it's a shoot 'em up in a kind of traditional sense. It's like a bit, I suppose, a bit like a basic form of Gradius, in the fact, but you're not a ship. You're a little man with a gun and a shield. So you've got the extra gameplay dynamic of having a shield where you can block enemy fire and enemies coming into you, and you lose the shield and you get hit. Shoot out of a spaceship and go and blast all the spiky balls and weird drill things coming out the floor and flying bird robot bats and things like that. It's a very bizarre game, but it's very enjoyable. It's bloody difficult as well. The shooting dynamic is very, very difficult to hit anything, so you've got to be really accurate. And there's a big double-headed serpent dragon boss character in it as well. But it was always very memorable playing it with the spiky balls that used to shoot out the floor, and these weird drill fan things, robot butterflies, and a lot of weird stuff going on. And I believe it also was, I'm going to get this right, because I've got it written down here because I didn't know. It was one of the only games, I think, released by Sesame Japan Corporation. Way back in 1983, so it was an early one. It was actually earlier than Kung Fu Master. So if anyone has any memories of that game, Vastar or Vastar, which I'm probably going to choose for the next time my my high score challenge comes up, I'm going to choose that game. It's an interesting game. So I would choose that one because, again, it's another one from my childhood. Next one is a bit of a step up. This is the first time I ever saw a multi-screen cab. This was. I would love to have this 5-screen beast. And that is the massive, huge cab of Virtua Racing. I absolutely loved it. This was, I first played it in an arcade, I believe, at Rose's Fair in Eastcote, which became, I think, Thunder Park now. I think that was the first time I ever played it, and then it popped up in a few more fairground arcades around the way. And I remember seeing it at what resort was it? Can't remember. We were at a resort somewhere. I think it was Skegness, where I played it as well. Yeah, the 4 screens, 4 seats, stereo speakers behind you, gear sticks, full-on immersive action with the highlights screen in the middle above the 4. Absolutely phenomenal. Loved it. It was the time I fell in love with Virtua Racing. Absolutely fantastic. So I always remember that music, the level selection music. It's such memorable music. That's why I love that game. Well, that arcade was just unbelievably mind-blowing. Of course, Sega, 1992. I'm reading my list here because I'm flowing off. I'm going to forget what I'm doing. Right, a few of these now were arcades that were outside a shop. When we moved back to London, we lived above a newsagent's, and the grocery is a few doors down. This is years ago when people used to do this. He used to put 3 or 4 arcades out the front of the shop, covered with a canopy to protect it from the rain, and they'd be covered up with tarp as well. And the kids would come along and play the arcade games outside the front of the shop, and he would have sometimes up to 5 machines. No one ever does that nowadays, but it was incredible at the time. We all used to go down to Yogi's, and that's what he called his shop, by the way. And he had so many different arcades there. They kept on a rotational system sometimes. Every 3 months he would change them, but several of them stuck out for me. I mean, as many I could list up, but the ones I'm going to choose and which I would like to have are 3 in particular. And Shinobi would definitely be one by Sega, of course. And in 97, get lost, Road Overbug. 87. Remember me and there was another fella used to be shit hot at Shinobi. Desmond, his name was, and we used to challenge each other at Shinobi. He would always beat me. He could somehow get to the Mandara boss. I could get to the Mandara boss, which is level 3, I think, and somehow obliterate the Mandara boss, and I could never do it. I did it a couple of times later on in life, but at the time when I was a teenager, I could never do it. That was also the first time I was introduced to my next choice, which is Chase HQ, the original Chase HQ, with the steering wheel and the shift, the stand-up cab. This is the stand-up cab with the pedal at the bottom. And that's when I thought, this is an amazing game. You get to hit things. I'd never seen a game like it. And then obviously there must have been a racing game prior to this. But at the time, mind-blowing that you were barging these vehicles off the street, and the speed of it just seemed phenomenal as well. And of course it had that immersive soundtrack, the digitized speech, and all that. And then of course later on down the line the Amstrad version came out, and it was mind-blowing. It was so bloody good and great towards the arcade, but it would be great to have the original arcade. And the final game from this area that I used to have, which is another unusual one, which is Capcom's Black Tiger, which is a platform game. Now, I'd never seen the game before, and after the cab disappeared, I never saw the cab ever again. Never. And I had to track down the Amstrad version, which turned out to be a crap specky port, unfortunately. Hey, CPC coders, get the shit on and redo Black Tiger, please. It's a great game. It really is. Innovative stuff, going up and down pipes. It's a dragon caught slaying kind of thing with this great big mace that you're very scantily clad warrior's arms, with his horned helmet, goes around saving things and destroying dragons and ghoulies and ghosties. It's very, very fun. And again, me and Desmond used to challenge each other at Black Tiger as well. That was the 7th choice, wasn't it? That wasn't the 7th choice, that was the 6th choice. 7th choice would be one of my favourite all-time arcade games, R-Type. Double hard, still love it today, still can't complete it on the arcade to this day without cheats, of course. Complete the Amstrad version and the Specky version. But love the arcade. Again, it's another one of those arcades where if I go out and about, I want to track it down and have a go, because R-Type is just, it's one of those game-changing, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal shoot 'em ups, and massively ingenious at the time when it first came out. The weapons on it, the bosses on it, the art style, the soundtrack. Goosebumps thinking about it. Just unbelievable. I just love R-Type, and of course I've got a whole playlist dedicated to R-Type because I love that game so much. So it's definitely an arcade cab I would definitely have. No, next couple, or the next one, should I say? The other two are a little bit going back a bit. We used to visit an arcade in South Harrow, which is no longer there. There's hardly anything in South Harrow anymore, apart from things that I should bear not say. Anyway, it's not in this country anymore. Well, anyway, it doesn't feel like it. But anyway, when it was, there was lots of great places in South Harrow. We used to, as kids, wander around and enjoy the various fruits of shops. And one of the shops above a salon, I think it was a place called Video Hits. And it was next to a salon, sorry. It was a place called Video. It was an independent video rental shop, and above it, on the mezz floor, and the second floor, it had an arcade up there. And we used to love going up there. It was the first time that I saw things like Splatterhouse and Robocop and things like that. But the game that I always used to go there to play, because I'd never seen it before or since. Well, I did see it afterwards, actually, when they opened an arcade in the St George's Shopping Centre in Harrow, which was Golden Axe. Loved it. Just absolutely. The Wilderness soundtrack is one of those soundtracks which just went in there and clicked and stayed in there. The soundtrack to the first level of Golden Axe just stuck in there. And I was thrilled when the Amstrad version came out to see it was so bloody faithful and really tried to emulate the arcade. And it was a really decent version as well. Really good. Loved it. Completed it within a week after discovering the arcade. It's not a hard game really on the overhaul, and the significant memory of when I first completed it, seeing the axe come down, spoiler alert if you never completed it, when you beat Death Adder and seeing the axe coming down and splash him in the sternum rather goily and nicely, and then the king dropping on his head, which is always quite amusing. Yeah, definitely have that arcade. I'll definitely have that arcade. My second from last is a odd one by Konami called Jailbreak. And this is 1986, I believe. And the only reason why I choose this is because it was one of those games that I discovered in a fairground. It was in Pinner Fair, I believe. No, it was back into Rose's Fair, actually, in Eastcote. And then later on I saw it in the arcades in Pinner Fair. Because most fairgrounds don't really have many arcades nowadays. They're all penny pushers, teddy pickers, you know, silly sort of prize games, and fruit machines, of course, you know, slots. You don't get a lot of arcade games much anymore, especially the old retro ones. You might get the odd Dance Mat game or the odd Time Crisis 700 or something like that. House of the Dead 400. Who knows? Things like that. Just, you know. But this game, it just calls out to you literally, because when it plays in its attract mode, it has the kids shouting out, "Wow, wow!" and it's like that noise, "Wow, wow!" How's it go? Yeah, it goes like that. So you just, what the fucking hell is that noise? And you go and find it. It's a very simple game. You play a cop, you stopping the convicts from breaking out of jail, hence the name Jailbreak. Shooting, you know, mindless sort of run and gun shooting action. A bit along the lines of Predator on the home computers. Mindless stuff, but very, very memorable. And it was another arcade that I would like to have, you know, about here. Finally, would be from the days where we used to go to Street Fighter Alley. There was another shop further up the road from where we used to live in the newsagents. And there was another newsagent, and he had a little side sort of storage galleyway kind of thing. Excuse me. And he used to cram like 3 or 4 arcades in there. And this was like during the, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, turn of the decade kind of play. 1990, 1991, 92 kind of thing. And he had just basically he filled it with Mortal Kombats and Street Fighters. Originally it was just Street Fighter and Street Fighter. It was he had Street Fighter in there, Street Fighter 2, and he had Mortal Kombat originally, and then Mortal Kombat 2 came in later on down the line, and he had versions of Street Fighter. And I believe he had a boxing game as well, Final Round in there. Yeah, that was it. But I'm not choosing Street Fighter 2 The World Warrior or Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition, which he did have. I'm choosing this specific game board hack that he had, which I remember vividly. And It was a hacked version of Hyper Fighting. Some of the graphical colours have been changed. It's the first time I saw the logo in pink and yellow, which, you know, is synonymous with Hyper Fighting, and the blue background. But it was colloquially known as Black Belt Edition. It was just a hack, but it was such a funny hack, and it was the kids when we were, we're 15 years old, whatever we were, at the 92, 15, yeah, working out how to work these hacked moves, where you had the Dragon Punch used to drift across, didn't go up, it just drifted across. You could stand in midair and do Hadoukens and Sonic Booms. You could get Guile to go up and up and up and up and up and up through the top of the screen, out the bottom, up the top of the screen, and keep going and going and going. And eventually, when you stopped doing the Sonic Booms, you would just fall all the way down. And it was just so funny. Things like that. You had Hurricane Kicks that used to go like that over the screen. Double Hadoukens used to wave around the place. It was just an absolute shitfest, but it was a fun shitfest. And working out all these different hacked moves and what the hell the coders had done with it was just absolutely some of the funniest times we had before and after school. There was queues for this hacked arcade. There was queues for this hacked cab of Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting. There was loads of it. Going down Rogers to play Black Belt Edition. That was it. Got to play Black Belt Edition.